Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to greet you. Nice to meet you. My name is Liseth Andrea Muñoz Liscano. Welcome to the English Time. And today we're going to explain you about some recommendations to design materials to improve the listening and speaking. The recommendation is about of the materials design course at UNAD University. Okay. Recommendations for to design of materials focus on the practice of speaking and listening in face-to-face and virtual classrooms. First, listening recommendations. I have five recommendations and I consider that these recommendations we can use in face-to-face and virtual environments because the way yes, the street is the same to develop or to improve this skill, in this case, listening. First, materials design. In materials in context. It's necessary to give interesting activities to the students because with activities of the context, the students will be more interesting. Some examples are listening songs, record some conversations between the same students, and after listen, they search news and listen about it. The second is materials mixing skills. It's a good way when the teacher gives the opportunity to the students to develop two skills at the same time. Some examples are listening a record or dialogue and to write the words that the students understand. The third recommendation is materials with certain time. Certain time is a good strategy that the teachers can use because it generates pressures like a competition. My fourth recommendation is materials based in contest. To do different materials or activities as a contest are very interesting for the students because the students are being a competitive some competitive beings. Some examples are determining the words mentioned, test of listening in competency. And finally, my fifth recommendation is audiovisual material. To take access and audiovisual material and listening it at the same time. It's a good strategy because the students can take in mind different learning styles. Some examples are to watch films, first with some subtitles in English and after without the subtitles, without they. I consider that every recommendation to design these materials we can use in the face to face and virtual environments because it's necessary to create authentic and no authentic materials and we can use the same strategies in the two environments. Now my recommendations to improve the speaking using good design materials. First, I consider there is important materials design with a need. To create a need is essential in this process. For this, it's necessary to design materials after of to create a need of speaking in the learning environment. Some examples are activities only in English from the explanation to develop. The second, fun materials. Really, it is my favorite recommendation because I consider that it is very important because we can learn a lot of with fun materials. For example, in my case, I can learn a lot with fun materials. Now the students, the children, the younger, a lot of more. It is important that the materials are fun and interesting to the students. Some examples are cards games, memories games, among others. It's necessary to remember that we can use fun materials in virtual and face to face. and with the same activities with it. Maybe the material change because we can virtual cards in the case of the cards games and memorize games too. And presential, we need the the physical cards, the physical material, but the way is the same. My third recommendation is materials to obtain a reward. Nowadays, the conduct is a methodology more used in the learning environments because the students want a reward for everything. Some examples are contests and competition activities. My fourth My fourth recommendation is materials of the daily life. To give to the student materials of the daily life is a good way to develop interest to the students about the different themes, example, dialogues and games, and music, dialogues and music, sorry, rhythms, different rhythms among others. And my fifth recommendation is materials based in interest themes. For that, the entertainment news are very interesting to the community in general. For this reason, it's a good way to teach English and to improve the listening in in the students with this way. An example is, for example, the case of Will Smith when the person was presented spoke bad about his woman. These themes are interesting to the students. And finally, the conclusions. To develop different strategies to contribute in the process of English learning is a need. The speaking and listening skills need efficient strategies to improve them in the students, and the materials design is an important aspect because it is the way to learn English. And here, okay, and here I have my bibliographic reference. Okay, thank you so much. It's all for today.